Hello, everyone. I'm Aurora Newton,
And I'm Angie Bailey.
and this is Ask the A Team. So, we've been talking to you about different safety tips, awareness, discernment, and intuition. So, Angie's going to share today. She had an incident. Her grandmother had an incident the other day.
Yeah, it's interesting. My father we were already talking about safety, and my father called me this morning and he had talked to my grandmother. And just a few days ago, she had somebody at her house. It was nighttime, she was already in bed, and they were coming and going around her house, knocking on all her windows. And she laid there scared to death in bed with her baseball bat, and she didn't call the police.
So that's there's a couple things we're going to break down with that. One, there is a psychological thing that happens that it's called flight, fight, or freeze, and she froze. And it's so important to practice. Again, we talked about scenario-based training, to practice these things. What should she have done? She should have called the police, but she was scared to death. Probably no one's really ever talked to her about that, especially our elderly. Training, safety training. Back in the day, women were taught not to say anything.
Yeah.
They were. I mean, my mom was taught to shut up and not say anything. She had been a victim of sexual assault as a child, and you just were quiet. And so she was probably raised up in that era where she wasn't supposed to do anything. And have a cell phone by your bed. You know, it's always important. Have a cell phone near you so you can call someone.
Yeah. Well, and she actually went to a neighborhood watch.
Oh, good.
Yesterday with some neighbors. She told her neighbors about it, so that's a good thing.
That's really good. Yeah.
And they were telling her, to turn like her back porch light on. She doesn't keep that
That's
on,
good.
so all those things. It's not going to cost you a
Right.
whole lot extra money to leave that back porch on,
not worth
but the
your
light
life
will
anyway,
scare somebody
Right.
away. Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, at the neighborhood watch, they told her, well, by the time the police would have gotten there, they probably would have been gone. And my response was, well, maybe they would have been at your neighbor's house, or maybe they would have been waiting to come back. But if they just saw a cruiser go by, that would have been enough to at least scare the predator away. And I think that's often, like, I can't do anything now, or it's too late, or, it would be silly of me, or I'm going to look stupid to make that call.
Right.
But again, better safe than
sorry.
Absolutely.
So important, because when we report, then it does make an awareness for the police as well. And like Angie said, then if they're at someone else's house, the police are cruising by and they know. And another important thing, now in that scenario, she didn't see it, but let's say you're on the street and someone startles you and you want to, you want to call the police, and you do. You have taken in at least the color of their clothing, the color of their skin, the color of their hair. Every little awareness that you can see in them, everything that you can take in, you can communicate that to the police. And that's so important. Even if it hasn't saved you in that situation from being afraid, you could be saving someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When we were younger, my brothers and I used to laugh about Kung Fu fighting because Kung Fu fighting was up. But I actually have taught some geriatric groups to use their cane. If you are afraid, use whatever you have to make you safe. So we'll give that to you, especially if you have your voice, you need to use it.
Yeah. And another situation, and I think this is really common amongst the elderly, is she had a situation actually a few years ago. She loves to play Publishers Clearinghouse and those sorts of things. And she actually had somebody call her and tell her that she had won, and she was very excited about that. And all they needed was her personal information, her bank and account number, so they could wire the number to her. And she got a little flustered, and she said, well, let me call, my granddaughters. And she called myself.
Thank God she did.
And my other
yes.
cousin, my cousin, looked up this company. She had gotten the company name, and she saw that there was fraudulent things. But the lady became very upset with her when my grandmother started asking questions and didn't want to quite give her information. And so that's another important thing to know. If there's a situation like that and it's legitimate, then they're always happy to do things the right way. They're not going to ask you for personal information over the phone. Publishers Clearinghouse, they come to your house with a bunch of balloons, right? I don't know.
But that's important, and we're going to talk about that in another segment, what predators look like. And that persuasive predator, they're going to pressure you. But we're going to sign off for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.